Last week, we talked about your soil fertility budget looking forward to the 2019 growing season. And along with that, we looked at what your fertility needs were going to be. But we kept things in generalities last week. We all know that even on flat fields, we see differences in soil fertility levels, whether they're caused by erosion, by cropping history differences, or even by manure application. There are things out there that need to be identified to accurately apply our soil nutrients. So, how do we get down to the brass tacks and find out what the appropriate rate of nutrients are? The answer to that, of course, is soil testing. I'm Keith Byerly, Precision Ag Manager at Central Valley Ag, and this is your agronomy focus video that corresponds with my article on the CVA website. I know that your first inclination when times get tough is to look for areas to cut. And one of those things that might be first on the chopping block is soil sampling. For most of us, we think of it as a line item expense, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Soil sampling is in fact an opportunity for us to go out there and save money on our fertility needs in every single season. But how do we get to that point? Well, when I look at soil fertility and soil sampling, I'm going to talk about it in the same vernacular that we used last week. What is its cost in bushels going into next season with the current DEIS-19 prices that we have on corn? So, we offer several different soil sampling options here at CVA, from grid sampling to advanced zones to our LIDAR-based normal zones. Now, with all of those soil sampling packages come a little bit difference in cost, but when I break it down and we look at billing your soil sampling out over multiple years, we're generally looking at 1 to 2 bushels is the cost of taking a soil sample on your farm. Of course, soil sampling by itself is fine, but it really doesn't do us a whole lot of good unless we pair the variable rate application along with it. That variable application lets us get those soil test levels and apply the right rate in the right spot to be the most cost efficient that we can. Adding that variable rate application to your budget is generally going to add a little less than 1 bushel of cost. So for the sake of argument the rest of the way through today, we're going to talk about 3 bushels is our cost of soil sampling and application. So when I look at soil test nutrients and how to find opportunities for savings, my best bet is to look at the International Plant Nutrition Institute, or IPNI. They query soil sampling labs every 5 years and look at those samples to identify trends in our soil fertility and where our averages are at. So today, that's what I'm going to do to understand where our opportunities for savings might be. So on phosphorus, when we look, we see that about 17.5% of all soils across Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa come in with over 50 part per million on phosphorus. When I'm at that level, I'm fairly confident in saying we don't even need to put crop removal out there when budgets are tight to manage the best fertility we can for maximum yields. So, looking at those acres, that means that across our entire farm, cutting back on those 17.5% acres for you would equate to about a 2 bushel an acre savings on your operation. When I look at potassium, we see about 24% of our acres that are above the level of 320 part per million. Again, this is a level where I'm confident we don't even need to put crop removal on for our budget next year, and we have an opportunity for savings. So we're at 3.5 bushel of savings. When I look at pH, it's a little bit harder to understand. The pendulum swings back and forth on pH on a year-by-year basis, but as I look at the rules right now, about 40% of our acres don't need a lime application to maintain their pH. If I apply those rules to your farm, that means that we've got the opportunity to save an additional 3 to 3.5 bushel out there by applying our Pell Lime in the right spots. So, when we put all of those things together, we've got a 6.5 to 7 bushel advantage to variable rating our lime as a general rule versus a cost that's 3 bushel or less on your farm. That's an opportunity to double our money just from making the expense of soil sampling and variable rate application. For the best idea on what's right for you and what's right for your operation, I really want you to consult your trusted advisor and your ACS regional manager. They're gonna know when you had your last round of soil sampling done, how old those samples are, and how much trust we place in them, or if we need to get new soil samples out there. Remember that soil sampling and the expense that goes with that is critical in making the right decisions for our fertility budget and making the right crop removal applications to ensure our yield and our profitability next year.